Hey everyone, it's Mark here from a Nerd Named Mark podcast, and I'm actually doing a review. It's been a bit since I've done a review podcast for the Nerd Named Mark Reviews RSS feed, and I wanted to talk about The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm a huge fan of The Conjuring. It is now streaming on HBO Max and in theaters. Theaters are opening up here in San Diego. I have not checked it out. I did watch it on HBO Max, and some good horror films. If I'm going to go to the theater, I'm probably going to see A Quiet Place Part 2, but that is neither here nor there. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, is actually the 8th film in the Conjuring Universe, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it, as of right now, there is no pre-production, no announcements about a 4th Conjuring film, but up till now, we have had The Conjuring, Annabelle, The Conjuring 2, Annabelle Creation, Annabelle Comes Home, The Nun, The Curse of La Llorona, and now we have The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm hoping there'll be a 4th. I really enjoy the dynamic of Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. Their chemistry and everything else really shines in the Conjuring films. Obviously, this is the 3rd film, so it could count as like a Conjuring trilogy. But if you look at all the other films a part of it, like The Nun, like the 3 Annabelles, and Annabelle Comes Home was very close to being a Conjuring film, because it does kind of take place in their home, and Ed and Lorraine Warren are in it predominantly, so it could technically count as the 3rd Conjuring film, and this could be the 4th, which is why there was no number on The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. But that's neither here nor there. I am going to be talking about the Conjuring universe in a full-fledged episode on the A Nerd Named Mark podcast RSS feed, so that will be going live probably within a day or so of this going live, so be sure to check that out. But yeah, okay, let's just jump right into it. So I love horror films, obviously. This is not a secret. So with the Conjuring ones, I kind of like, because it's, yes, they always say based on true events. Yes, Ed and Lorraine Warren are real people. Well, they passed, but they were real people. They did write a lot of books and documented a lot of their paranormal and seance stuff they've done. And yes, there's been skepticism, but the movies are kind of amplified and dramatized versions of their true things that they went through. And that's kind of one of the things that set them apart of a lot of horror films that I enjoy, because there's a lot, even though it's, dramatized, kind of cranked up to 100, there's still that level of, okay, the foundation of these films is true. And that's why I like the spin-offs, like The Curse of La Llorona. La Llorona is, an old wives' tale, so to speak, in Latin culture, Mexico, Spanish culture. And, Annabelle is based off of a real doll that, is iffy on what's real, but, it's a real doll in real life that did have a curse to it and this and that people claim. I can't debunk it. People have tried to debunk it, but, And then The Nun, I mean, let's face it, creepy nun. That's it. But that's all that stuff. The reason why I bring those up, even though I said I wasn't going to talk about the, foundation of it, was because The Devil Made Me Do It went into more of the satanic, occult, and witchcraft side of things, and curses, instead of an angry spirit possessing a little girl, or a whole family being terrorized by the spirit of an angry mother. So this one was different in the tone and story from previous ones. And I only saw one commercial for it. I went in blind to this film. So finding out, hey, the occult and this and that, I was like, ooh, this is really cool. The downside is, as much as I enjoyed, the cat, it's one of those things where the first Conjuring film is still going to be my favorite. James Wan as a director did such a good job And something like in James Wan, he helped, write with Chad Hayes and Corey Hayes for the first one and the second one. This time around, different story writer, different screenwriter, different director. And I was just like, something about it just didn't seem like The Conjuring. And it didn't really have, it was kind of slowed down. Like, they're older now. I mean, there are spoilers, by the way. So Ed has a heart attack early on in the film. So it's kind of showing them now, like, having to tone down. They're not as, gung-ho and jumping right into the fray, doing more research and this and that, because the occult is kind of unknown to them. But the opening was just so good. But that was like the best part of the film was that opening, because they did the exorcism. There's all stuff. It wasn't working. It was just very creepy and well shot and produced. And right off the bat, I was like, you're going to just start the movie with an exorcism just like that? Like, I was like, okay, this is good. I mean, there was even a scene where the 8-year-old that was possessed literally jumped on Ed Warren's chest, had his hand right in the heart, and he's like, I'm going to rip out your heart, I'd kill you, and this and that. Next thing you know, another family member removes the kid, and then Ed's like literally sitting there going in and out of consciousness, having a heart attack. And I'm just like, man, this is the first, like, not even 10 minutes. Where are we going with this now? And for a 2-hour film, if you're gonna give me the good stuff 10 minutes in, you gotta bring it the rest of the way. And it just didn't do that. Like, the pacing wasn't bad. It was just, this was more a story of Ed and Lorraine, and them. Basically, you could see they're getting ready to retire. It was kind of hinted at, like, this is kind of bringing down the scares. There were some jump scares, a little bit. There was no real, like, tension through this whole entire film, though. And it's just, Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson are great actors and actresses. Like I said, their chemistry is just so good. They carried this film from just their acting and them playing Ed and Lorraine as characters. Whereas in previous Conjuring films, I was like, oh man, the possession, this is creepy throughout the whole entire thing. We're building up the pace, and because the other films, they always start off with like something quick, and then that wasn't the main story, but the main story was that family and that curse, and it's through the whole film. And I'm like, I was like, I thought this was going to be a misdirection. Like, we opened with exorcism, that case is closed, now they're moving on to something new. This time around, no. And yeah, there was some gruesome, there was some gore to it, and I think the dark occult, like, spiritualness and witches and stuff like that kind of grounded the film. And it's just not, there wasn't enough. Like, I wanted more of a family with a possession or this and that. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to say it, even though I spoiled a few parts of the movies. I'm not going to spoil the rest of the movie. This is just my review. I just think that it needed more. And if we do get the fourth one, which I'm sure they will. I mean, I know right now there is in the works a Nun sequel, and the Crooked Man from Conjuring 2 that they kept doing the little nursing home route is getting a movie. But it's just, man, The Devil Made Me Do It, I was just so, I guess, let down. Because, like, it's been a while since we've had a Conjuring film. I believe The Conjuring 2 came out in 2016. So it's been 5 years. And in that 5 years, we had all the side ones. But I was just like, man, I really want a Conjuring film. And I don't know, maybe if, because the director of The Devil Made Me Do It was the director of Curse of La Llorona, which wasn't a bad film. I enjoyed it for what it was. And even that had some moments where it was like, okay, this is creepy. I'm digging this. But the main thing was like, it just didn't feel like a Conjuring film other than Ed and Lorraine, which were the glue of the whole franchise, the whole Conjuring universe, so to speak. I do think that it's still worth watching. Like, it is almost I think it's like an hour and 52 minutes. That is a long movie for horror anyways. And the pacing kind of made it drag out, but I did enjoy, like, from a horror standpoint, this isn't my favorite horror film other than the first 10 minutes. But from a story standpoint, this was a lot of character. I think this is the most from a personal side we got to see Ed and Lorraine in the Conjuring franchise, like, portrayed. A lot about, some flashbacks to them when they first met, and it just really, if this is the last one, they kind of got their crescendo at the end to kind of, be like, okay, like, this is cool. This is their story. This is their life as what they did from the paranormal standpoint. And it just kind of, you could have named it anything. This could have been a spin-off of The Conjuring instead of an actual Conjuring named film. But it's just, I don't know. I might have to watch it again to see if I could pick up on some things. But as of right now, like, it's just not, it's not a bad film. It's just not scary enough. Besides the final couple scenes of the film in the opening 10 minutes, in between is just a lot of story. And usually horror films, they aren't going to have this deep story. Let's face it, they aren't. They're supposed to be jump scares, ominous tones, creepiness. Supposed to be on the edge of your seat. I rarely felt like I was on the edge of my seat, and that kind of took me out of it. But with that being said, it's still a good movie. Just not my favorite. And I'm going to go more into the Conjuring universe, ranking the films, going over what worked, what didn't work, how they're connected, where they could be going forward. Because as of right now, I think because they finally gave us like a flashback and the Devil Made Me Do It, we may actually at some point see some prequel films with them being younger, because there was a quick flashback sequence involving a gazebo and them together, I believe, in the rain. And they had a younger actor and actress playing Ed and Lorraine, and I was like, well, they could be the younger Ed and Lorraine for, some other movies. There's endless possibilities with the Conjuring universe. But Devil Made Me Do It, I will say this, like, definitely watch it. Definitely check it out on HBO Max or go see it in theaters. Just be prepared. It's just shy of 2 hours, and it does drag a bit, but from the standpoint of that opening scene, that is one of my favorite opening scenes of a horror movie. It probably in my easily top 10. I wouldn't say top 5 just because I've seen so many horror movies that's a bold statement by me to say top 5. So I would say probably like top 10 for first 10 minutes of any horror film. It's really good. And, you might enjoy it, especially if you like horror and you're the type who gets kind of like squeamish and like you can't handle too much with horror. This is a good paced film where you would be able to sit through it, especially with like your boyfriend, girlfriend, family members who don't love horror but like them to an extent. This is a good movie for them to watch then. But that's it. That's it for my quick little review. I thank you guys for listening. My name is Mark. You can find A Nerd Named Mark reviews on all podcasting platforms. You can listen to my main podcast, A Nerd Named Mark podcast, on all listening platforms as well. I will be doing a full-fledged The Conjuring Universe episode on the A Nerd Named Mark podcast feed, so make sure you check out that. Subscribe or follow the channel, the podcast on any of the listening ones. You'll get the update when it's live. If you enjoy the Conjuring and horror films, you're definitely not going to want to miss the Conjuring Universe episode. So I thank you guys for listening. You guys have a great day. And my name is Mark, and I'm a nerd.